Close your eyes for a moment, not in retreat, but in mastery. Let the illusion of lack fall away, just for now. Picture yourself not as someone striving for wealth, but as someone who has already arrived. Feel the quiet certainty in your chest, the unshakable knowing that the world is already yours, not just a part of it, all of it. The money, the power, the comfort, the control, it bows to you. Can you feel it? That's not fantasy. That's the seed of creation. You see, the mistake most people make is believing they must wait for their bank account to reflect wealth before they feel rich. But the truth is reversed. Your bank account reflects the wealth you've already accepted in your consciousness. That's the key. The world does not give to those who beg for riches. It bends to those who claim them in spirit before they touch them in form. You must become rich in your imagination before you can see it in your life. The money you want is not hiding from you. It's responding to the identity you hold when no one is watching. Do you see yourself as someone who deserves billions or someone hoping for crumbs? Do you walk like you're funded by abundance, or do you shrink in the shadows of scarcity? The energy is everything. The world mirrors back what you broadcast internally. You cannot fool it, you can only align with it. Billions don't come to those who merely want them. They come to those who have already embodied them, those who act as if they are inevitable. You do not wait for proof. You become the proof. Speak as a billionaire. Move as a billionaire. Think as a billionaire. The universe listens not to your wishes, but to your identity. So I ask you now, who are you being today? Someone who is looking for money, or someone who is being money? When you claim ownership of the unseen, the scene begins to shift. That's how mountains move. That's how empires are built. From a thought so deeply believed that reality has no choice but to obey it. And if you think this is just imagination, good, because imagination is the womb of all things. It is the origin of every dollar that has ever existed. Your current reality is simply the residue of past thinking. Change the thought, change the form. You're not here to survive, you're here to dominate. You're not here to chase bills, you're here to own the building. You're not here to impress the world, you're here to shape it. This speech isn't for everyone. It's for the money lovers who've had enough of waiting, wishing, and watching others win. It's for the ones ready to declare that they are the source of wealth, that they are the beginning of abundance, not the end of a paycheck. This is your reminder. Act like you already own the world, and soon you will. Now let's break it down. Before any physical dollar ever touched your palm, it was first conceived in the unseen. Money as you understand it begins not in paper or plastic, but in mind. And yet most people treat imagination as if it were a child's toy, an escape from reality. But those who understand the deeper truth know this: your imagination is your real bank account. What you vividly imagine, consistently believe, and emotionally feel becomes your tangible experience. Close your eyes and picture a scene where you're not hoping for money. You're managing billions. You're not just in the room, you're owning the building. You're not asking for a raise, you're writing checks that make others millionaires. Feel the leather of your chair, the weight of your decisions, the buzz of your private jet's engines. This isn't fantasy, this is creation. And it is more real than what you currently see with your eyes, because the physical world lags behind the invisible one. Your imagination is the spiritual blueprint of your future. The world outside bends to the shape of your inner images. If you can see it with conviction, if you can feel it with emotional certainty, it is yours. The mistake most people make is they look at their current financial state and use that as their reference point, but that is looking in the wrong direction. That is reading yesterday's news and expecting tomorrow's breakthroughs. You don't become wealthy by reacting to what you see. You become wealthy by responding to what you believe. Imagination is not passive daydreaming. It is the active molding of reality. Think of your imagination as the unseen workshop of God, where all the pieces of your fortune are being built, shaped, and fitted into place. Every image you hold, every detail you feel, is a brick in the foundation of your billions. You must live in that state now, even if the world shows you nothing, even if your bank says zero. The zeros are irrelevant if your vision is clear. You must treat your imagination as more trustworthy than your bank. That's faith. That's power. That's how kingdoms rise. When you walk into a store, feel that money is endless. When you pay a bill, feel that more is already arriving. When you sit in your home, feel that you already own 10 more. Let your imagination create such a vivid emotional reality that the external world feels like it's just catching up to you. Because that's exactly what it's doing. No one became a billionaire by chance. It began with a thought, repeated, loved, and lived in. Use your imagination not to escape your life, but to reprogram it. The richest man in the world once sat where you sit. But he saw something different in his mind, and he never let go of that image. That's the only difference between your current self and your wealthy self, the inner world they choose to live in. The world is a mirror. It reflects back to you what you consistently radiate. And when it comes to money, nothing repels wealth more than the energy of need, desperation, or inferiority. To attract billions, you must begin to act like you already have them. Not as a performance for others, but as an internal declaration to the universe. When you act rich, you set your frequency to receive riches. That's how manifestation begins. Think about it. When you act poor, when you walk slouched, speak with doubt, or feel guilt about desiring more, you are affirming lack. The universe doesn't respond to your words. It responds to your vibration. So when your posture, voice, and decisions reflect wealth, abundance begins to match you. This doesn't mean you pretend in front of people. It means you shift your internal identity. Rich isn't about wearing luxury brands. It's about the way you carry yourself, your expectations, your standards. The rich don't question if something will work out, they assume it will. The rich don't panic when bills arrive, they trust their supply. That's the energy you must begin to embody. Act not with arrogance, but with assurance. Buy your coffee like you can buy the cafe. Walk through neighborhoods as if you're scouting your next property. Tip with the energy of overflow, even if it's small, for now. These are not lies. They are signals. And the universe listens carefully. When you act rich, you begin to break the habits that chain you to scarcity. The fearful budgeter becomes the confident investor. The hesitant dreamer becomes the bold leader. Your actions send signals to your subconscious mind. And that's where the real shift happens. You begin to believe what you once only imagined. And that belief becomes your new baseline. Your energy becomes magnetic. People begin to treat you differently. Opportunities seem to find you. Why? Because you're no longer begging life. You're commanding it with silent authority. You're no longer asking if you deserve more. You're walking as if you already own it. And when you act that way, life starts to agree. You must break the habit of acting according to your current reality. Instead, act according to your chosen reality. If your current finances are tight, don't contract, expand. If you're not yet where you want to be, don't shrink, rise. Your consistent behavior trains life how to respond to you. The universe doesn't reward who waits, it rewards who claims. So act rich now, not recklessly, but radiantly, not to prove anything, but to align everything. The more you act as if you already have what you want, the faster it finds you. Life bends to boldness, and the frequency of riches can only find you when you dare to live on its level. Every word you speak casts a vote for your future. Your vocabulary is not casual, it's creative. And when it comes to manifesting wealth, your language becomes the tool through which billions are either invited in or kept out. The person who constantly says, "I can't afford it," is not describing their condition. They are enforcing it. Words are not descriptions, they are declarations. You're not reporting on your life, you are scripting it. You must learn to speak the language of financial power. That means you remove lack from your tongue. Eliminate phrases like "too expensive," "not for people like me," or "one day maybe." These are not harmless remarks, they are spells. They bind your subconscious mind to a life of limitation, and as long as you speak them, you affirm your allegiance to scarcity. Instead, begin to speak as though wealth is already yours. Say things like, "Money always flows to me. I always have more than enough, and I am a magnet for financial opportunities." Say these things not with desperation, but with quiet certainty. Say them until they feel like truth, because eventually they will be. You see, your subconscious mind believes what it hears repeatedly, especially when it's spoken with emotion. So if you constantly speak from lack, that becomes your mental reality. But if you begin to speak from abundance, even when your outer life hasn't caught up yet, you plant seeds that will eventually bloom into prosperity. And this language shift isn't just for affirmations. It's for how you speak to others, how you describe your goals, and how you respond to challenges. When someone asks how you're doing financially, don't default to self-pity. Say, "I'm stepping into a new level," or "I'm expanding." These aren't lies, they're prophecies. When discussing money, speak with respect and neutrality. Don't glorify wealth in a way that makes it seem far away. And don't speak of poverty as your permanent companion. Be matter-of-fact about your abundance. Let it be normal. That's how you normalize wealth in your subconscious. And once it feels normal there, it must become normal out here. Also, be mindful of how you speak to yourself in private. If you make a financial mistake, don't say, "I'm so stupid with money." Say, "I'm learning how to handle greater wealth." If you're hit with an unexpected bill, don't say, "I'm cursed." Say, "This is making room for more income to flow." Shift your inner dialogue from panic to power, because your self-talk is your most frequent prayer, and it is always being answered. Language creates atmosphere. If you want to live in an atmosphere of wealth, your words must align. Think of your words as architects of reality. Build sentences that make room for wealth to walk in. Choose phrases that reflect ownership, vision, and expectancy. Speak from where you're going, not from where you've been. If you want billions, then billions must hear their name in your voice. Start today. Speak the language of the life you are ready to live. The greatest trap in the process of wealth manifestation is becoming enslaved by what you can currently see. Your bank account, your job, your bills, your so-called reality. These are not permanent truths. They are echoes of past beliefs. And if you allow your current conditions to define your possibilities, you will remain trapped in a cycle of repetition. To manifest billions, you must detach from what is and trust what is becoming. This is not denial, it's discipline. It's the discipline of choosing to believe in the invisible more than the visible. The world you want to experience is already formed in the unseen realm, waiting for you to align with it. But if you obsess over what your five senses report, you lock yourself out of that greater reality. Detachment is not giving up, it is letting go of neediness. It is walking by faith, not sight. It's waking up with the same excitement whether the money has arrived or not, because deep inside, you know it's already yours. You no longer chase signs. You become the sign. You no longer beg for confirmation. You move with conviction. The visible world is a delayed reflection. By the time you see the money, it's old news. It's the result of a previous mindset. So why would you use it as your guide? It's like driving forward while staring in the rearview mirror. Instead, you must look inward. Trust the feeling of wealth. Trust the vision that stirs your soul. Trust the inner knowing that billions are already forming in your path. When something contradicts your vision, like a declined transaction, a lost opportunity, or an unexpected expense, that is not your truth. That is just old residue. You do not react in fear. You respond with faith. You say, "This is temporary. I already know who I am and what I carry." That is detachment. That is power. Detachment also means releasing timelines. When you demand results by a specific date, you introduce anxiety, and anxiety blocks the flow. Trust that everything is unfolding with perfect timing. Let go of the when and stay anchored in the who. You are someone who owns the world, regardless of what the calendar says. This level of trust requires practice. At first, you will be tempted to check your accounts, compare your progress, and look for signs. But the more you focus on the unseen, the more you'll realize how powerful it is. You'll feel calmer. You'll act more confidently. You'll notice subtle shifts, unexpected opportunities, ideas, people, and experiences that nudge you closer to the reality you've chosen. Your job is not to monitor outcomes. Your job is to master your state of being, to feel rich without needing proof, to walk in abundance while the world still sees scarcity. And when you can do that consistently, the visible world will have no choice but to bow to your unseen truth. Detached from the illusion of lack, attached to the certainty of your inner vision, and the billions you already own in spirit will begin to take physical shape. The secret to manifesting billions lies not in imagining yourself earning the money, but in imagining yourself already owning the life it creates. There's a vast difference between the energy of earning and the energy of owning. Earning implies that you must labor for wealth, that it's distant, conditional, or based on your current efforts. Ownership, however, lives in the now. It is rooted in identity. It is a spiritual possession that begins before the physical form arrives. You must train your inner world to recognize and accept ownership of things that your physical world has not yet caught up with. Visualize not the process, but the result. Don't see yourself getting a promotion, see yourself running the company. Don't imagine receiving a paycheck, see yourself signing them. Don't visualize winning a client, visualize owning the building. Your power lies not in the chase, but in the claim. When you visualize ownership, your entire energy shifts. You no longer act from the frequency of pursuit. You operate from the frequency of possession. You speak differently, you move with a different rhythm, you become selective with your time and precise with your decisions. This is how the universe begins to recognize you as a match for what you seek. It is not about imagining trying to become wealthy. It's about stepping into the energy where the wealth already belongs to you. See yourself hosting lavish gatherings in your dream home. Feel the keys in your hand to your luxury cars. Smell the scent of your private office. Taste the food from the restaurant you invested in. Don't watch these things like a distant movie. Be inside them, fully immersed, feeling the joy, the calm, the stability. That's the language your subconscious understands. Your current financial state is a reflection of your dominant inner images from the past. So if you want a new outer reality, you must install new mental blueprints. When you visualize ownership repeatedly, those images begin to sink into your subconscious as familiar, And once they become familiar, they begin to appear around you in synchronistic ways. You'll stumble upon the right contact, receive a coincidental offer, or suddenly feel guided to take a step that accelerates everything. This is not luck. This is alignment. And let it be said clearly, this is not about fantasizing. It's about embodiment. You are not wishing for something nice. You are returning to what is already yours in the unseen. You are making withdrawals from your spiritual bank. And the more you do it with faith and emotion, the faster the outer bank catches up. So drop the need to obsess over how it will happen. Stop visualizing struggle, effort, or chase. Your job is not to figure out the route. Your job is to claim the destination and move like it's already yours. Own it in mind, and the form must follow. Because when you visualize ownership, the universe has no choice but to deliver what you already see as real. There is no faster way to shift into abundance than to feel gratitude, not for what is coming, but for what is already yours in spirit. Gratitude, when done right, is not a reaction, it is a creation. It is a vibrational acknowledgement that you believe the thing is already given, already done, already delivered. And when you can feel that kind of gratitude before the physical proof shows up, you create irresistible energy that pulls manifestation into your life. Most people say, I'll be grateful when the money arrives. But that is backwards. The money arrives because you were grateful before. That's the secret known to those who understand the laws of the unseen. Gratitude is a magnet. It draws the very thing you're thankful for closer because it signals to your subconscious mind that the outcome is certain. They wake up and feel thankful for your billions, yes, even if your wallet says otherwise. Smile at the thought of your wealth. Walk through your day as if you're carrying a treasure the world just hasn't seen yet. Be thankful for your homes, your freedom, your peace, your influence. Say thank you for my investments. Thank you for my financial freedom. Thank you for the empire I manage. Say these things with emotion, not logic, because emotion is the language of creation. When you give thanks for what's not yet seen, you're not lying. You're aligning. You are stepping into the frequency where wealth already exists. You are telling the universe, I see it, I feel it, I trust it. And that trust becomes the bridge between the unseen and the seen. Gratitude also melts resistance. When you are grateful, there's no room for fear, doubt, or impatience. You're no longer begging for change, you're celebrating it before it arrives. That makes you magnetic. You become the type of person who carries light in their voice and power in their silence. People feel it. Opportunities feel it. Money feels it. Create rituals around this practice. Every morning, write a list of things you're grateful for, as if they've already manifested. Every night, replay your day with appreciation, not for what happened, but for what's happening behind the scenes. Give thanks like you already live in your dream life, because in truth you do. This isn't about fooling yourself, it's about reminding yourself. It's about reclaiming the truth that you are not separate from abundance. Gratitude is your access point. It's how you knock on the door of your future and say, I'm ready. Not desperate, not demanding, just ready, with a full heart and steady hands. Practice this and your life will change. Gratitude is the proof of faith. And those who show proof are the ones who receive the promise. The world around you will try to shake your belief. It will show you delay. It will whisper doubt. It will test your patience. And this is where most people fall back into the old identity, the identity of lack, of waiting, of wishing. But those who manifest billions, those who command reality rather than follow it, are the ones who persist in their chosen identity, regardless of appearances. They don't just visit wealth in their mind, they live there. Persistence is not repetition, it is possession. You don't simply say affirmations and hope they work. You become the affirmation. You step into the identity of the billionaire and you don't step out. Not when things go quiet, not when the balance is low, not when others mock or misunderstand you. You hold the identity as sacred. You protect it. You wear it like skin. This isn't about arrogance. It's about inner truth. You already are what you seek. You're simply allowing time to catch up. And while it does, you stay in character. You act, think, walk, and breathe as if nothing is missing. That is spiritual strength. That is divine alignment. When the results seem slow, remember, delay is not denial. It is the universe rearranging the stage for your entrance. Your billions are not coming from thin air. They are flowing through channels, people, ideas, opportunities, and those channels are being shaped by your persistence. Every time you choose to believe in the unseen, you carve a deeper path for the seen to follow. You must also be aware that your old identity will try to reclaim you. It will use familiar feelings, fear, insecurity, scarcity, to lure you back. But you are not the person you used to be. You are not here to repeat cycles, you are here to rewrite them. And that rewriting happens through discipline, by saying no to the past and yes to the new self, over and over, until it becomes automatic. Let others be reactive, you be unshakable. Let others look for signs, you become the sign. Your persistence becomes your shield, your compass, and your proof. And when the world finally bows to the identity you've held in silence, you won't be surprised. You'll simply smile and say, of course, because you didn't wish for wealth, you became it. You've come this far because something inside you already knows. You were never meant to live in limitation. You were never created to chase scraps or settle for a life that doesn't match your soul's blueprint. You are not here to play small. You are here to reign quietly, powerfully, and unshakably. The world may not recognize it yet, but that's irrelevant, because now you recognize it. And that changes everything. You understand now that your imagination is not fantasy, it's foundation. That your actions, when aligned with wealth, create the vibration of wealth. That your words build bridges to the very life you long to touch. That detachment is not giving up, it's stepping into divine trust. That ownership begins before the evidence. That gratitude is the password to every spiritual vault. And most importantly, that persistence is your crown. You no longer need to ask for billions, you already own them in consciousness. You no longer need to seek permission to become more, you were born with authority. And the moment you act as if you already own the world begins to obey. So don't wait for proof, be the proof. Don't beg for blessings. Walk as one already blessed, because the only thing standing between you and the billions you desire is your willingness to believe, feel, and live as though they are already yours. And now you do. So go on. Live like it's done, because it is. Imagine for a moment that you are the luckiest person who has ever lived. Not because of wealth, fame, or fortune, but because you know something most people never even dare to believe, that life does not happen to you, it responds to you. That every event, every opportunity, every chance encounter unfolds in harmony with what you are assuming to be true about yourself. The world isn't a chaotic, indifferent machine. It's a mirror reflecting back the assumptions you carry in silence. To act as if you are the luckiest person in the world is not about pretending or faking. It is about entering the secret place within you where reality begins. Not in the outside world, but in your own imagination. When you assume you are lucky, you awaken to a deeper law that governs the unseen. Luck to the world is randomness, but to the awakened mind, luck is the evidence of alignment between inner belief and outer experience. Have you ever noticed how some people always seem to be at the right place at the right time? Doors open for them. Opportunities flow effortlessly into their lives. They find solutions before others even know there's a problem. You may have called them lucky, but if you looked closely, you'd see they expect good things. They carry an unshakable belief that life bends in their favor. That expectation, the silent, invisible force of belief, is what we call luck. Not an accident, not a coincidence, a spiritual law in motion. So what happens when you begin to live like that? When you wake up in the morning with a smile, not because of what is, but because of what you've claimed within. You walk differently, you speak with confidence. You no longer react to appearances. You carry yourself like someone who knows, really knows, that everything is always working out for you, even when it seems like it's falling apart. You no longer beg the world to notice your worth. You assume your place in it. You no longer fear the future. You welcome it, knowing that it must reflect the inner atmosphere you created. To act as if you are the luckiest person in the world is to assume that nothing is out of place, that even your delays are divine, that even rejection carries redirection, that life is always conspiring in your favor, though you may not always see the hand moving behind the curtain. You begin to look at closed doors not as defeat, but as God's protection. You don't just wish for good things, you claim them. You prepare for them, you give thanks for them before they arrive. Attitude becomes your secret weapon. You no longer wait for blessings to show up, to say thank you. You start with thanksgiving, knowing that what you appreciate appreciates. Every step you take becomes infused with the power of unseen faith, and life in turn cannot help but respond. Circumstances shift. People are drawn to your energy. Solutions come from unlikely places. Not because you forced them, but because you expected them. And here is where many go wrong. They wait to feel lucky until something lucky happens. But that's not how the law works. You must feel it first. You must embody it now. You must enter the mood of answered prayer before the evidence shows up. That's the sacred order. Assume the feeling of being divinely favored, and the world will bend to make it true. You do not need to be born into privilege to live a privileged life. You only need to awaken to your power to choose your assumptions right now, this very moment. You could begin to walk through this life as if the heavens are open over you, as if every room you enter is already prepared to receive you, as if every situation is turning in your favor, even if it doesn't look like it yet. That's the power of assumption. That's what it means to act as if you are the luckiest person in the world. So take a breath, let go of appearances, and step into the reality you desire, not by waiting for it, but by living in the state of it right now. Because when you do, the world cannot help but mirror your inner world. You are not a victim of fate, you are its author. What you accept inwardly, life must express outwardly. And the moment you claim without doubt, I am the luckiest person in the world, life must respond with proof. Not someday, not after you've earned it, but the moment you believe it. There is a secret place within every human being where the script of life is written, not by fate, not by accident, but by the quiet, often unnoticed power of assumption. To the outside world, life appears to unfold by chance. Some are deemed fortunate, others not. Some rise with ease, others fall without warning. But beneath this surface illusion, a spiritual law operates with absolute precision. It is the law that whatever you assume to be true, consistently and with feeling, must eventually become your experience. This is not philosophy. This is not positive thinking. It is spiritual causation. To act as if you are the luckiest person in the world is to deliberately plant the seed of that assumption into the fertile ground of consciousness, trusting that it must grow into reality. Everything begins in the mind. Long before the world sees it, you must feel it. Long before your hands touch it, your spirit must hold it. You do not need proof to assume something as true. You only need to accept it in your imagination. And here is the mystery. When you accept it as truth within, your outer world rearranges itself to reflect it. The world is not resisting you. It is responding to you. Every event, every person, every so-called coincidence is shaped by the inner tones of your being. So if you walk through life assuming lack, you will experience lack. If you carry the belief that others are lucky but you are not, life will echo that back to you with precision. But the moment you shift, the moment you begin to dwell in the state of being favored, blessed, and divinely lucky, you awaken the law of reflection, and life must yield to the new truth you've accepted. The assumption is not wishful thinking. It is not idle daydreaming. It is a spiritual act, a declaration of what is, even before the world confirms it. When you assume you are lucky, you are not hoping that something good might happen. You are stepping into the reality where it already has. You are declaring within yourself that the good you seek is already yours. This assumption becomes the mold through which life pours itself. You cannot expect water to take shape without a vessel. Likewise, you cannot expect life to deliver what you have not first claimed within. Now ask yourself, what have you been assuming about yourself in silence? When no one is around, when the distractions fade, what do you quietly believe to be true about your destiny? Do you assume that life is against you, that things never work out for you, that others get chosen and you get overlooked? These beliefs, even if unspoken, are powerful. They are not passive, they are creative, and they are constantly forming the outer pattern of your days. But here's the beauty. You can change them. You can revise them. You can begin this very moment to assume something higher, truer, more aligned with divine favor. You can begin to act as if the stars are aligned for you, as if doors are opening that no one can shut, as if everything you need is already on its way, drawn by the gravity of your own belief. Do not wait for life to show you evidence before you believe. That is the way of the world, but not the way of the Spirit. The law is not see and then believe. The law is believe, and you shall see. This is the secret known by all who live uncommon lives. They do not wait for conditions to be perfect. They create those conditions by assuming them. They walk into rooms as if they belong. They approach opportunities as if they are already there. They carry a quiet confidence, not rooted in arrogance, but in the inner knowing that they are aligned with something greater than themselves. To assume you are the luckiest person in the world is not to deny reality. It is to reshape it. It is to go beyond appearances and choose a higher truth. You are not bound by your past. You are not defined by statistics, circumstances, or the judgments of others. You are defined by what you claim within. And when you claim divine favor, when you embody the feeling of being blessed, the world cannot help but follow suit. It has no choice. The world is clay. Your assumption is the hand that molds it. Every morning you rise is an invitation to create anew. Will you assume the worst out of habit, or will you dare to assume the best out of faith? Will you rehearse old disappointments, or will you imagine new beginnings? The choice is yours. And the moment you choose differently, the moment you say, I am not unlucky, I am divinely guided, I am fortunate beyond reason, I am the magnet for miracles, something begins to shift. You won't see it all at once, but slowly and then suddenly, Life starts echoing back what you whispered to yourself in silence. And if doubt creeps in, and it will, return to the assumption. When fear knocks, answer with faith. When the old story returns, rewrite it. Stand guard over your inner world, for that is where everything begins. And once the seed of assumption is planted and nurtured with belief, life itself becomes the garden in which it blooms. What the world calls luck is often misunderstood, reduced to a roll of the dice, a twist of fate, a chance encounter that no one could have predicted. People admire it when they see it in others, envy it when it seems absent in their own lives, and speak of it as if it belongs to a chosen few. But luck, in its truest and most spiritual sense, is not a fluke. It is not reserved for the elite. It is the natural result of internal alignment. When your thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and assumptions are harmonized with a vision of good, of favor, of divine orchestration, what follows in your outer life feels effortless, surprising, even magical to others. Yet to you, it is not magic, it is law. It is the unfolding of what was first believed long before it was seen. To understand this is to step out of the world's chaos and into divine clarity. You begin to see that nothing in your life is truly random. You begin to look back and recognize that every lucky break was preceded by a moment where something shifted inside you. Maybe you felt a surge of confidence. Maybe you suddenly believed in yourself. Maybe you dared to imagine that good things were possible for you. In that moment, you were not simply hoping for a change. You were aligning with it. You stepped into agreement with the life you desired, and that agreement began to attract all the pieces necessary to make it real. That is alignment. That is what the world mislabels as luck. When you walk in alignment, your steps are guided, not by external forces, but by the quiet power of your own assumption. There is a spiritual current running beneath the surface of all things, and when you come into harmony with it, you are carried not by struggle, but by flow. You meet the right people at the right time. You receive unexpected news that opens new doors. You find yourself in places that seem too perfect to be planned, and the outside world watches and says, how lucky they are. But the truth is, you are not lucky. You are aligned. This alignment begins in the invisible realm of your own consciousness. It begins when you stop doubting that you are worthy of good, when you stop resisting your own desires, when you stop asking if it will happen and begin to live as though it already has. When your emotions, your self-talk, your imagination, and your expectations all move in the same direction, you become unstoppable. You no longer contradict yourself. You are no longer asking for one thing while expecting another. Your entire being becomes a single yes, a single affirmation of the life you choose to live. And when that happens, you draw that life to you with a force more powerful than effort, because belief works faster than effort. But this kind of alignment requires discipline, not physical discipline, but spiritual discipline. You must train yourself to remain in the state of the wish fulfilled, even when appearances suggest otherwise. You must choose to feel lucky before there is evidence. You must walk with your head high when your circumstances still look low. You must give thanks for blessings that haven't yet arrived in the physical, knowing that they already exist in the unseen. This is not delusion. This is creation. For everything that is seen was first born in the unseen. Your inner alignment becomes the mold through which the outer world takes shape. You will know you are aligned when peace replaces panic, when trust replaces tension, when your inner conversation begins to echo the same truth as your desired outcome. You won't need to chase, convince, or struggle. You will attract, magnetize, and manifest. People will call you lucky, but you will know that what they see is simply the fruit of what you have believed. The world will marvel at your timing. your synchronicities, your breakthroughs. But you will remember the private moments when you chose to believe, when you sat in silence and imagined a new outcome, when you refused to accept defeat as final, when you stepped into the energy of the answer long before it arrived. And the beauty is, anyone can live this way. You do not need a perfect background, a prestigious education, or external validation to become lucky. You need only begin the sacred work of aligning your inner world with the truth of your divine favor. You need only start believing that you are already blessed, that your life is unfolding with divine precision, that what you seek is already seeking you. This belief must not be passive. It must be lived, breathed, walked, and felt. It must become the air you breathe and the tone of your imagination. And as this belief deepens, so too does your alignment. You move from hoping to knowing, from wishing to embodying, from waiting to receiving. This is how life transforms, not through force, but through faith, not by manipulating the world, but by harmonizing with the unseen laws that govern it. And when that harmony is achieved, when the sound of your inner world matches the rhythm of divine favor, life sings in your favor. What once seemed like coincidence becomes confirmation. What once felt delayed arrives with speed. What once felt out of reach enters your hands with grace. You don't have to wonder how or when, you simply know. You act, speak, walk, and live as if it is already done, because in the realm of spirit, it is. The outer world is only catching up to what you have already become within. And to the outside observer, it will always look like luck. But to you, it will feel like home. To live from the end is to occupy in your mind and emotions the state of already having what you desire. It is a radical departure from the way most people move through life. Most live toward their goals. They wait for the world to change before they feel differently. They measure progress by external signs. But the spiritual truth is this: you are not waiting on life, life is waiting on you. The outer world is simply a mirror, echoing back the assumptions you accept as true. And when you live from the end, you flip the entire structure of experience. You no longer ask, how do I get there? Instead, you dwell in the place where it is already done. You feel it, you taste it, you imagine it so vividly that the world begins to conform to the inner script you are already living out in your imagination. This approach is not about pretending. It is not about ignoring the present or denying what's in front of you. It's about understanding that the present circumstances are simply the residue of old beliefs and past assumptions. They are not fixed. They are not final. They are not stronger than the creative power that lies within you. When you live from the end, you claim your role as the author of your reality. You are no longer reacting to the world, you are causing it. And every thought, every feeling, every inner conversation becomes a seed planted in the fertile soil of consciousness, destined to sprout in due time. Consider how the world is structured to make you live reactively. You are taught to wait, to prove yourself, to meet conditions. You are told that only one certain criteria are met. Once you have the degree, the job, the relationship, the approval, then you can finally feel successful, loved, happy, or free. But spiritual law invites you to reverse this. Feel the freedom first. Feel the love first. Feel the success first. When you live in the feeling of your desire fulfilled, without contradiction or doubt, you are in alignment with that reality, and the world must catch up. The mind may argue and say, but I don't see it yet. That is where faith begins. You do not live from the end because you see it. You live from the end so that you will see it. The unseen comes first, always. Every visible result in your life began in the invisible realm of thought and feeling. Nothing is random, nothing is imposed upon you. Everything is rooted in the state of consciousness you occupy. So if you want to change the outer, you must first inhabit the inner state, where the desire is already fulfilled. That's where power is. That's where transformation begins. To live from the end means you no longer seek permission to believe. You no longer wait for encouragement. You step into the version of yourself who already has it, and you let that version lead. You ask not, can I become this? But how would I think, speak, and act if I already were? You begin to align your choices, your posture, your energy with the person who is no longer striving, but simply being. And that shift changes everything. Because the world responds not to your words, but to your state of being. It responds to who you are, not what you want. This is why so many remain stuck. They live toward their desires, which means they're always in a state of lack. They are chasing, reaching, hoping, waiting. Their inner dialogue reinforces the distance between them and their goals. But when you live from the end, you collapse that distance. You move from someday to now. Your imagination becomes your sanctuary. In it, you rehearse the scenes of your ideal life, not as a wish, but as a memory. You walk through the corridors of your mind already possessing what you desire. You touch it in your imagination. You smell the air. You feel the emotions. You create the vivid inner experience so deeply that it begins to feel natural. And once something feels natural, it must become real. This way of living requires intention. You must withdraw your attention from appearances and dwell in the unseen. You must refuse to be discouraged by delay. You must learn to ignore what contradicts your inner knowing. Because when you live from the end, you begin to see the world through a different lens. Everything becomes a part of the unfolding, even the detours, even the silence, even the apparent setbacks. You are no longer shaken by what you see because you know what you have already claimed within. The world is just catching up. There is great peace in living this way. You no longer carry the weight of uncertainty. You no longer wonder if you're worthy. You have already decided. You have already assumed your place. You begin to feel gratitude, not for what is coming, but for what has already arrived in your imagination. And this gratitude, this inner thanksgiving, becomes a magnet. It pulls the invisible into the visible. It bridges the gap between spirit and matter. And slowly, without strain, life reshapes itself to mirror the state you have consistently occupied. The change will come quietly at first. A phone call, an idea, a connection, a moment of clarity, a shift in atmosphere. And then, like a flood, things begin to rearrange, not because you chased them, but because you became the version of yourself who already had them. The world bends to meet the self-image you hold. It cannot do otherwise. It must obey the command given through your sustained assumption. That is the law. So begin today. Begin now. Close your eyes. Step into the feeling of already having what you desire. Let your body relax into that truth. Let your mind accept it. Let your imagination rehearse it, and let your emotions affirm it. Carry that state with you like a hidden treasure. Nurture it, protect it. Return to it often. For what you nurture within must eventually be born without. The end is not something you wait for. It is something you live from, and in doing so, you bring it into being. Gratitude in its most sacred form is not a reaction to what has already occurred. It is a declaration of trust in what is yet unseen. Most people wait for the gift before they say thank you. They wait for the breakthrough before they celebrate. They wait for the doors to open before they believe they are favored. But when you understand the spiritual laws that govern this life, you come to see that gratitude is not meant to follow the miracle. It is meant to create it. It is not a reward for blessings received, but a force that pulls those blessings into your life. When you begin to express gratitude in advance, you are not being naive, you are being spiritually intelligent. You are stepping into alignment with the reality that already exists in the unseen realm. and by your thanks you are calling it forth. To thank God, the universe, life itself, before there is any sign of movement, is to say, I believe in what I cannot yet see. It is an act of courage, a demonstration of faith, and an intimate acknowledgement that reality begins not with evidence, but with belief. This kind of gratitude is magnetic. It does not beg. It does not plead. It claims. It embodies. It stands firm in the storm and whispers thank you, even when nothing has changed on the outside, because something has already shifted on the inside. The moment gratitude is felt, the energy of lack dissolves. The energy of waiting disappears. You are no longer longing, you are receiving. You are no longer doubting, you are affirming. There is something divine about walking through life with a grateful heart before the answers come. It is the behavior of those who know the truth behind appearances. They are not fooled by delay. They are not discouraged by silence. They understand that just because they have not yet touched it with their hands doesn't mean it is not already theirs. They speak to their circumstances with assurance. They look at closed doors and say, thank you, because this is part of the path I cannot yet see. They feel joy in advance. They rejoice not because of the world, but despite it. And that joy becomes a signal, a spiritual frequency that draws matching experiences into form. When you begin to live this way, people will not understand you. They will question your optimism. They will say, why are you so sure? You don't have it yet. But what they do not realize is that you do have it within. And the inner world always precedes the outer. Gratitude in advance is the sign that you already possess the thing you desire in consciousness. It is the seed you plant and water with belief. And as you continue to give thanks for what is unseen, it must appear. The laws of the universe demand it. Life cannot withhold what you have already claimed in faith. It cannot contradict the truth you embody. This is why gratitude is so much more than politeness. It is power. It is the vibration of completion. It says it is done even when others only see the beginning. It is the secret of those who live in alignment with divine intelligence. They do not need to know the how. They do not need to control the path. They simply give thanks as if everything has already been orchestrated perfectly. And in that surrender, they find peace, because gratitude softens resistance. It breaks the tension between desire and fulfillment. It takes you out of the energy of striving and into the energy of receiving. And once you are in the receiving state, all things begin to move toward you, not by force, but by grace. Imagine waking up each day and thanking God for things you've only dreamed of. Imagine walking through your day as if your prayers had already been answered. Imagine writing down your goals and instead of pleading for them, simply saying, thank you, Father, for this reality now made visible. That kind of mindset opens gates. It dissolves worry. It silences the inner critic. Because you are no longer trying to get something, you are living in the energy of already having it. That shift changes the way you speak, the way you walk, the way you respond to the world around you. You radiate peace. You carry an unspoken confidence, not arrogance, and life responds. Circumstances bend. People show up. Ideas are born. Solutions appear. Because you are no longer sending out the signal of desperation, you are sending out the frequency of fulfillment. And like attracts like. The world must mirror back what you are consistently emitting. This is not emotional manipulation, it is spiritual principle. Gratitude in advance is the language of creation. It tells the unseen realm, I trust you. It tells your body, we are safe. It tells your mind there is no reason to fear. And with that, you step into a dimension of peace that no external condition can shake. Even in the face of contradiction, gratitude is the anchor. When nothing makes sense, when delays stretch on, when doors seem shut tight, gratitude is the light that keeps you aligned with the truth. It refuses to surrender to appearances. It sees through them. It knows that everything happening now is only temporary. But what is real is eternal and unshaken. And as you continue to give thanks, as you bless the process, the path reveals itself, step by step, piece by piece. And when the manifestation arrives, when the dream unfolds and the door opens, it will feel familiar. Not because you've been there before in the physical, but because you've already visited it 1,000 times in your heart. You've already walked those halls in your imagination. You've already breathed in the air of that new reality. And every time you gave thanks, you brought it closer until it could no longer remain unseen. This is the quiet power of gratitude in advance. It works in silence. It moves mountains that eyes cannot see. It prepares your heart to receive what your mind still questions. It bridges the gap between faith and form. And every time you say thank you, even in the absence of visible proof, you are proving to the universe that you are ready, that you trust, that you are aligned, that you believe the best is not only possible, and from that place, all things are possible. Your state of being is not just how you feel in a given moment. It is the silent force that shapes the world around you. It is the vibration you carry, the invisible energy that you bring into every situation, every room, every interaction. While most people are obsessed with the external, trying to fix circumstances, manage outcomes, or control what others do, the wise understand that everything begins within. Your state draws your circumstances, not occasionally, not sometimes, always. The world is not happening to you, it is responding to the tone you set internally. If you walk through life in a state of fear, everything you encounter will reflect back the energy of fear. If you carry the energy of being unlucky, overlooked, or forgotten, you will encounter situations that confirm those very beliefs. But the moment you shift your internal state to one of favor, abundance, worthiness, and peace, the world must bend to mirror that shift. It cannot resist it. It must obey the law of reflection. This law is not philosophical, it is practical. Look around you. The patterns in your life, the repetitive outcomes, the tone of your relationships, the way money flows or doesn't flow, the opportunities that appear or seem to stay far away. All of these are mirrors. They are feedback loops showing you what state of consciousness you are consistently occupying. The world is not judging you, it's simply following your lead. And it will follow your lead more faithfully than even you realize. It does not bring you what you want, it brings you who you are. That is why it's not enough to say affirmations or visualize for a few minutes and then go back to old habits of thinking. Your dominant state is what speaks the loudest. Your dominant state is what gets answered. If you say, I am the luckiest person in the world, but internally you still feel defeated, still expect rejection, still brace yourself for disappointment, your words are drowned out by your state. The universe hears what you are being, not what you are saying. This is why true transformation is not just about changing what you think. It's about changing what you believe, what you expect, and what you feel to be normal. When you shift your internal norm, when feeling blessed becomes more natural than feeling cursed, when expecting favor feels easier than expecting failure, you have shifted your state. And from there, your life begins to change. Think of your state as a thermostat of your reality. If your inner setting is low, low self-worth, low expectation, low belief in what is possible, then no matter how much effort you put in, you will keep attracting situations that match that temperature. But when you turn it up, when you begin to raise your expectation, expand your vision, feel worthy of greatness, and believe that life supports you, everything begins to rearrange. Not instantly, not all at once, but faithfully. And as long as you remain in that higher state, life has no choice but to match it. And what is so profound about this law is that it is always active. You are always radiating a state. You are always creating. Even in your silence, even when you are unaware of it, your energy is shaping your future. So the key is awareness, to wake up, to stop blaming the world and start asking, what am I being? Because that question holds the seed of all change. You cannot be in a state of victimhood and expect empowerment. You cannot be in a state of lack and expect overflow. You cannot be in a state of resentment and expect peace. You must become the reality you desire first, and then the reality will follow. When you truly begin to understand this, your life becomes more intentional. You no longer chase, you no longer grasp, you no longer try to manipulate outcomes. You go within. You correct the state. You nurture the feeling of being supported, favored, blessed. And you carry that state like armor, not as a shield against the world, but as a beacon that draws to you what you desire without effort. It's not that challenges disappear. They may still come, but your state dictates how they affect you. In a state of alignment, even setbacks become setups. Even delays carry divine timing. Even rejection feels like redirection because you are grounded in something deeper than circumstances. And this is why acting as if you are the luckiest person in the world is so powerful. It puts you into a state where favor is not just hoped for, it is assumed. It's already yours. You begin to expect good news. You anticipate open doors. You look for signs of alignment instead of signs of lack. And as you maintain that state, your reality must yield. You don't have to strain or strive. The doors that are meant for you begin to recognize your energy. The opportunities that match your state begin to present themselves. You begin to find yourself in places you never planned, guided by what seems like coincidence but is really spiritual design. There is no secret more valuable than this. Your state is the magnet. Your state is the prayer. Your state is the signal that calls forth every person, place, and event you encounter. So if life has not been reflecting what you desire, look not outward, but inward. Recalibrate the state. Sit in silence. Imagine the version of yourself who already has what you want. Feel what that version feels. Think what they think. Speak how they speak. Let that become your new normal. Hold it, live in it, and return to it again and again until it becomes so familiar that you cannot imagine being any other way. From that place, the world must shift. The law demands it. The mirror cannot help but reflect what you are consistently being. And once you embody the state of divine favor, of unseen support, of joy without reason, the world will mirror it back so faithfully that others will call you lucky. But you will know that luck had nothing to do with it. It was your state all along. Everything you desire already exists. Not in some far-off future, not in the hands of someone more fortunate than you, and not in the approval of others. It exists now, here within you. The moment you imagine something with clarity and feeling, you are not asking for it, you are creating it. The great misunderstanding is that people believe they must wait, they must struggle, they must earn. But consciousness is the only reality. Your assumption, not your effort, is what manifests. To act as if you already have it is not to pretend. it is to know. When you close your eyes and dwell in the state of the wish fulfilled, you are not daydreaming. You are entering the only place where true creation occurs, the inner world. What you assume to be true becomes true. What you claim as yours in consciousness must echo into the material world, for the world is nothing but a mirror reflecting your inner arrangement of belief and feeling. But many ask, how do I hold on to the vision? And here is the paradox. You must let go. Detachment is not indifference. It is certainty. It is the deep knowing that what you have imagined is already yours, and because it is yours, there is no need to cling. The man who clings is still doubting. The man who detaches is resting in faith. Detachment is not the absence of desire. It is the absence of resistance. Do not confuse wanting with having. Wanting keeps the thing at arm's length. It declares lack. It confirms separation. But when you live from the end, when you walk through your days with the quiet joy of one who knows his prayer has already been answered, then you are in alignment with a creative law. You will speak differently. You will think differently. You will carry yourself not as one who is hoping, but as one who is already in possession of the gift. This is not arrogance. This is alignment. You do not beg the universe. You do not plead with God. You assume your rightful place in the kingdom of heaven within. And from that sacred inner place, you bring forth miracles as naturally as breathing. There is no strain, there is no force. There is only the still confidence of one who knows, I am that. So imagine with full feeling. See it, hear it, touch it in your mind. Live in the assumption. Speak as though it were already so. Behave not as one who hopes for change, but as one who knows that change has already occurred. And then, let go. Go about your day with calm detachment, not watching the clock, not scanning for signs, just trusting, just resting. And in the stillness of that knowing, in the effortless ease of that detachment, all things are added unto you. Imagine with full emotional intensity. Then release the need to control. The combination of vivid inner experience and peaceful surrender brings results effortlessly. To live in the end is to abandon the illusion of time, to let go of the lie that what you seek is somewhere out there waiting for you in a distant future. The truth is far simpler and far more powerful. Everything you desire already exists in the invisible. The moment you imagine it, you create the seed of it. The only thing required of you is to dwell in that state, not visit it, not flirt with it, but dwell there, live there, abide in it as though it were your most natural reality. Living in the end means you no longer ask when or how. You no longer beg for signs or reassurance. You have become the person you once aspired to be, not by effort, but by assumption. You no longer chase the dream, you embody it. You do not wake up wondering if it will happen, you wake up knowing it already has. There is a sacred power in this kind of knowing, a silent authority that moves mountains and bends reality in your favor without struggle or force. Consider the actor who prepares for a role. He does not merely study the character, he becomes him. He walks like him, speaks like him, thinks like him. The actor forgets himself and immerses entirely in the role. That is the art of assumption. That is what it means to live in the end. You are no longer a person who is hoping to become wealthy. You are wealth in motion. You are no longer someone longing for love. You are already love, already chosen, already claimed. You do not wait for the relationship to prove your worth. Your worth draws the relationship to you. You do not wait for the job to validate your talent. Your talent makes room for the job. Everything begins with you. Everything flows from your inner state. Most people live from a place of reaction. They look at the world, see what is, and allow their emotions to be dictated by it. They say, I will feel happy when I get this. I will feel secure when I see that. I will feel confident once it shows up. But the law does not work that way. The law mirrors your feeling. It does not create it for you. It reflects, it echoes, it duplicates. So when you say, I will feel successful once I see results, you place success out of reach. You delay it, you postpone it endlessly. But when you dare to feel successful now, when nothing in the outer world validates it, you activate a power that compels the outer world to shift. To live in the end is to become immune to the evidence of the senses. It is to walk by faith and not by sight. The five senses may scream the opposite of what you desire. The bank account may show lack, the phone may be silent, the door may be closed, but none of that matters when you live in the end. Because you are no longer impressed by what is, you are ruled by what you know to be true within. Your imagination becomes your only reality, and that inner reality, when nurtured with belief and emotion, must take form in the world around you. It is a law, it is a certainty, it is spiritual science. There will always be a gap between assumption and manifestation, a sacred space where faith is tested. But this is not a punishment. This is the proving ground of your belief. Will you hold the inner state even when the outer world mocks it? Will you maintain your inner knowing when nothing seems to be happening? Will you persist in the end, or will you fall back into doubt and fear? These moments define your reality, for what you are truly loyal to in consciousness will always become your experience. You must become the thing before you see the thing. This is the reversal that changes lives. Instead of saying, I will believe it when I see it, you now declare, I will see it because I believe it. The inner leads, the outer follows. Always. Your imagination is not fiction, it is creation. The world you build in thought and feeling is not a fantasy, it is the blueprint of your future, and the more real you make it within, the faster it must appear without. When you live in the end, you do not compromise with reality. You do not adjust your dream to fit the facts. You do not shrink your desires to match your doubts. You expand your faith to match your vision. You stretch your belief until it holds the full weight of your desire. You do not say, this is too big for me. You say, if I can feel it, I can have it. If I can see it in my mind, I will see it with my eyes. And this way of living, this bold, imaginative, faithful living, is not reserved for the chosen few. It is available to anyone willing to claim it. The power is not in your circumstances. The power is not in other people. The power is in you. Always has been, always will be, and when you awaken to this truth, everything changes. Not because the world has changed, but because you have changed. You no longer wait, you no longer doubt. You no longer beg life to give you crumbs. You rise, you assume, you declare, and you walk in the reality you have chosen within. You do not ask, is it working? You know that it is. You do not look for signs, you are the sign. You do not check the mirror for a different reflection, you adjust the face you are making. You do not water the seed and dig it up to see if it's growing. You water it, you trust, and you live as if the harvest is inevitable, because it is. That is the law, that is the truth, and that is how you live in the end. Detachment is so often misunderstood. People think it means apathy, that it's about giving up on what you want, or that it signals a lack of interest. But true detachment is not indifference. It is trust in its highest form. It is the quiet confidence that what you've imagined, what you've accepted as real within your consciousness is already making its way into form. You don't have to chase it. You don't have to manipulate events or people. You don't have to obsess or plead or panic. You simply rest in the knowing that it's done. To detach is not to stop caring about the desire. It is to stop worrying about how and when it will happen. That concern is the root of resistance. When you're constantly looking around to see if it's working, you're declaring it's not here yet. Every time you check for a sign, every time you grow anxious about timing, you're reaffirming the absence of what you've asked for. And in doing so, you delay it. But imagine for a moment a child who places an order at a restaurant. Once he speaks what he wants, he doesn't keep repeating it to the waiter. He doesn't get up and storm into the kitchen to make sure it's being prepared. He trusts. He knows it's on the way. That's the essence of detachment. Certainty so strong that it doesn't need validation from the outside world. The one who detaches is not careless. The one who detaches is aware that their inner world is the only creative power. They have already imagined the end. They have already assumed the feeling of the wish fulfilled. And now, with full peace, they let go. Not to lose it, but to allow it to flow. The letting go is not a resignation, it is an invitation. It is the space that allows what is already created in consciousness to unfold in form. You cannot force manifestation, you cannot beg it to arrive faster. These things belong to a lower understanding of reality. In the higher realms of creation, stillness is power, belief is movement, surrender is alignment. When you detach, you are declaring to the universe that you know the process works. You're not trying to make it happen, you're allowing it to happen. You're no longer obsessing over the mechanics, you're trusting the principle. Think of planting a seed in soil. You water it, you care for it, but you do not dig it up each morning to see if it sprouted. You let the process work. You trust the soil to do what it was designed to do. But so many plant the seed of their desire through imagination. And then panic takes over. They dig it up through doubt. They strangle the growth with constant worry. But when you detach, you allow the seed to take root. You let the unseen do its perfect work. And that is the realm of true faith. Not blind belief, but deep, inner knowing. The detachment you're called to practice isn't cold or passive. It's warm, alive, and filled with quiet expectancy. It feels like peace. It feels like breathing after holding your breath. It feels like surrendering your weight into something that holds you completely. When you detach, you're saying, I've done all I need to do in consciousness. My part is finished. Now I trust the unseen to move the pieces. Detachment frees you from the illusion of time. When you're attached, you believe that things must unfold on your schedule. You think there's a right time, a perfect window, and if it passes you by, you'll miss your chance. But when you're truly detached, you stop being a slave to time. You stop thinking in terms of delays and missed opportunities. You know that what is yours is never lost. You know that what belongs to you cannot be taken. You know that timing is a human invention, but creation flows in divine sequence. When you cling, you're saying, I don't believe it will happen unless I do something more. When you detach, you're saying, it's already done. I don't need to interfere. The vibration of clinging is desperation. It repels the very thing you desire. But the energy of detachment is peace, and peace is magnetic. It pulls your desire toward you effortlessly. People often confuse detachment with a lack of desire. But in truth, you must desire with great intensity and then release with even greater faith. Desire creates the vision. Detachment invites its arrival. They are not opposites, they are partners. Desire sets the direction, detachment opens the door. The deeper your belief, the more natural your detachment. You won't feel the need to ask, where is it, because you'll already feel its presence within. You won't be tempted to chase it because you already own it in consciousness. The one who detaches is the one who has already received. And make no mistake, detachment is not always easy. It requires discipline. It requires you to ignore what your senses tell you. It demands that you hold the vision when nothing around you confirms it. But that is the path of the Creator, not one who reacts to life, but one who directs life through imagination and faith. You must stand firm in the invisible while the visible catches up. There will be moments of temptation. You'll feel the urge to panic, to check, to reach out and grab. You'll wonder if it's working. And in those moments, remind yourself, creation is finished. The moment you accepted it in consciousness, it was done. All that's left now is the unfolding. Your only task is to remain inwardly aligned, inwardly still, inwardly sure. The world will move around you in ways you cannot predict, but it will move. It must move. The law cannot fail. Detach, not to forget, but to rest. Detach, not to dismiss, but to trust. Detach, not because you are weak, but because you are powerful. Powerful enough to know that your imagination creates reality. And once it is imagined and accepted, it is as good as done. Desire, when left unclaimed in consciousness, becomes a weight. It becomes a longing, a silent ache, a reminder of absence. Most people walk through life with a heart full of unfulfilled desires, not because what they want is impossible, but because they continue to approach desire as something outside of themselves, something they must earn, achieve, or chase. But the truth is startlingly simple. Desire without assumption leads to lack. If you do not claim what you desire is already yours in consciousness, you will remain in the state of wanting, not having. Wanting is a state, just as having is a state. And the state you occupy determines what you experience. When you want something and keep it at a distance in your imagination, you may feel the excitement of potential, but you also feel the sting of separation. You are not one with the thing. You are two. You and it exist as opposites. The more you dwell on the wanting, the more you reinforce that separation. The more you think about needing it, the more you tell yourself you do not yet possess it. This is the trap that keeps people stuck in cycles of waiting. They want something so badly that their very longing becomes the reason they never receive it. To manifest, you must not only desire, you must assume. You must move from the state of lack to the state of fulfillment. This does not mean that you suppress desire. No. Desire is the spark. But once it is born in you, you must nurture it with belief. You must give it form in your imagination, then embody the feeling of already having it. Without this shift, desire becomes suffering. Without this shift, you chase shadows that always stay just out of reach. Think of a person who wants love. If they walk around feeling unworthy of it, constantly seeking validation, measuring their worth by external attention, they will attract more experiences that echo their unworthiness. They are saying, I want love, but I don't have it. And life, being the mirror that it is, agrees. The answer is always yes to the state you are in. If you live in the state of longing, the answer is yes, you will continue to long. If you live in the state of being loved, even before any evidence appears, the answer is also yes, and love will find its way to you in the most natural of ways. This is why it's not enough to want something. You must align with it in consciousness. You must shift from desire to embodiment, from wanting to being. You must think the thoughts, feel the feelings, and carry the posture of the one who already has what they once longed for. That shift in self-concept is where the power lies. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you are. The world will always confirm the state you dwell in. If you walk through life as a person who lacks money, opportunity, or purpose, then that is what will continue to unfold. not because the universe is punishing you, but because you are still affirming separation from what you desire. But if you rise each day with the quiet confidence of someone who knows their desire is fulfilled, if you carry yourself with the dignity of someone who already has what they once cried for, then the world will shape itself around that assumption. There is no magic in the outside world until you change the magic inside of you. When you adjust your inner dialogue from "I hope it comes" to "it is already mine," everything changes. You begin to see different things, hear different things, notice different opportunities. People respond to you differently. Life opens up in new directions, not because anything outside of you changed first, but because you change your state. And your state is the signal that tells life how to respond. If you keep your desire in the category of someday, it will never be today. If you keep telling yourself, "when I have this, I'll feel better," you'll always be waiting for a future that never arrives. The shift happens when you decide to feel now what you thought you needed the thing to give you. Feel wealthy before the money shows up. Feel loved before the partner arrives. Feel free before the circumstances change. That inner feeling becomes the cause of outer experience, not the other way around. Your imagination is the womb of reality, and when a desire is conceived within it, it must be nurtured by belief. To imagine and then dismiss, to desire and then doubt, is to abort the process. But to imagine and assume, to desire and then believe, is to give birth to what you want in the realm of form. This is why assumption is not just a mental exercise, it is an act of creation. It is your statement to life: "This is who I am now." You are not here to beg life for blessings. You are here to declare them, assume them, and express them through your being. That's the divine gift you were given. The ability to choose your state and live from it. The ability to imagine a better life and make it real, not through force or luck, but through alignment. So the next time you feel the stirring of a desire, welcome it not as something to chase, but as a sign of what already exists within you. Use your imagination to give it form. Feel the reality of it. Then assume the identity of the one who already possesses it. Speak like them, think like them, act like them. Let every fiber of your being reflect the truth that it is done. And once you've done that, detach, let go of needing to see it right now. Rest in the knowing that your inner state is already drawing it into your world. When you can do that, when you can move from desire to assumption, you leave the realm of lack and enter the kingdom of fulfillment. Not in the future, not when circumstances agree, but now, in this very moment. The world you see is not separate from you. It is not some external machine operating independently, handing out rewards or punishments based on effort or luck. It is a mirror, intimate, sensitive and precise. What you carry within, it must reflect. The outer world has no power of its own. It only echoes the dominant beliefs, assumptions, and emotions you hold in consciousness. This is why true transformation does not begin with changing the world. It begins with changing the self. Most people approach life backwards. They try to manipulate circumstances. They work harder, push harder, strive more, hoping that something out there will finally shift so they can feel different inside. But this is a never-ending chase. Because even if something does change momentarily, if the inner state remains the same, the external will always return to match it. Temporary wins are fleeting if the inner story doesn't. The true shift happens when you recognize, I do not attract what I want. I attract what I am. Everything you experience is filtered through the lens of your consciousness. Your assumptions about life, your expectations, your inner dialogue, they are not private thoughts hidden in a corner of your mind. They are the blueprint that shapes the structure of your reality. If you assume that people are dishonest, life will show you liars. If you assume that you are unlucky, life will bring delay and disappointment. If you believe you're invisible or undeserving, then the world will appear blind to your efforts, not because it is cruel, but because it must match you. That is the law. The most powerful work you can do is not out there in the world of actions and reactions. It is within. It is silent, unseen, but infinitely more effective. Shift your self-concept, and everything around you begins to bend in response. You do not need to persuade anyone. You do not need to seek validation. You do not even need to explain yourself. The change within is the cause, the change around you is the effect. Think of a projector casting a film onto a screen. If you do not like the scene playing out, you don't run to the screen and try to change it with your hands. You don't blame the screen or get frustrated with the characters. You go to the source, the real inside the projector. That's your consciousness. That's the internal state casting images into your world. And yet so many people live with their hands pressed against the screen, trying to adjust the reflection instead of the source. The key is to become radically honest with yourself. What do you truly believe about your life? Not what you say aloud, not what you hope for, but what do you assume day in and day out? Do you expect love to come easily, or do you brace for rejection? Do you trust money will flow, or do you live in quiet anxiety, fearing it will run out? Do you see yourself as worthy, or are you constantly proving, apologizing, or shrinking? These assumptions are not harmless. They are creative forces. Life cannot help but mirror them. If you hold the belief that you are always second best, then no matter how hard you try, you will find yourself falling just short. If you carry the assumption that success is for others but not for you, you will sabotage your opportunities. And yet, when you begin to change those inner assumptions, quietly, consistently, without drama, the mirror must change too. It is not about pretending. It is about embodying. It is about becoming the version of yourself who already lives the life you desire. That version of you thinks differently. They speak with more conviction. They move through the world with a different posture. They don't hope for change, they live from it. You do not wait for the world to confirm this version of you before stepping into it. You step into it now, and the world responds in time. Every person you encounter is responding to the vibration you send out, whether you're aware of it or not. The way people treat you, the opportunities that find you, the delays you experience, the breakthroughs you receive, they are all responding to the frequency you hold. And that frequency is not based on what you say you believe. It's based on what you consistently feel and expect beneath the surface. This is not a punishment. This is your power. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are a creator of experience. But you must become conscious of what you're creating. You must take responsibility for the inner movie playing within your mind. The dialogue, the images, the assumptions, they matter more than anything you do externally because they are setting the direction of your life. And they are setting it now. The beautiful truth is that no one can change your reality for you, but no one can stop you from changing it either. You do not need permission. You do not need to convince anyone. You do not need perfect conditions. All you need is a willingness to look within, to become aware of what you've been assuming, and to change it deliberately, to choose a new story and walk in it, even before the world shows signs of it. You may not see immediate change. That's not because it's not working. It's because the reflection takes time to shift. But if you persist in your new state, if you continue to embody the reality you've chosen in consciousness, the outer world will yield. It must. It cannot reflect something different than what you are radiating within. So do not look to the world to tell you who you are. Decide who you are and let the world follow. Do not wait for evidence to believe. Believe and the evidence will appear. Do not react to appearances. Create from your imagination. For it is not the world that defines you. It is you who defines the world. To feel first is to claim your inheritance. It is to understand that feeling is the secret key that unlocks the gates between the invisible and the visible. The majority walk through life thinking that feelings are responses to external events. They wait for life to improve before they allow joy. They wait for relationships to appear before they feel love. They wait for security before they feel peace. But those who understand the law, who know how creation really works, flip this understanding entirely. They feel first, then let go and let it flow. This feeling is not fantasy. It is not imagination without structure. It is not pretending. It is the deliberate embodiment of a state that already exists in the infinite field of possibility. You are not making it up. You are tuning into a reality that is already there, choosing to occupy it in consciousness before it shows up in form. Feeling is the pathway. Feeling is the signature. Feeling is the language the unseen realm listens to. You may say what you want, but what you feel is what is heard. When you feel something deeply, consistently, and with sincerity, you impress it on the subconscious. And the subconscious doesn't argue. It doesn't question or delay. It simply accepts and expresses. It begins to shape your thoughts, your behaviors, your reactions, and your experiences to align with that feeling. It starts to organize reality around what you've assumed. So if you feel abundant, even while the bank account is low, you begin to act differently, think differently, speak differently. And those shifts become the channel through which new possibilities enter. But the moment you cling to the feeling, the moment you panic and try to force it to stay or rush the results, you interrupt the flow. You make it about control. You introduce resistance. Feeling must be followed by surrender. This is the part most people struggle with, not the imagining, but the letting go. But to let go is not to abandon what you've created. It is to trust it. It is to believe it is done and release the compulsive need to monitor its arrival. Imagine standing at the edge of a river. You have a small paper boat in your hands, your desire, your creation, your imagined outcome. You carefully place it on the water, giving it a gentle push. That moment is the feeling. But then your job is done. You don't wade into the river to chase it. You don't follow it down the current trying to make it go faster. You simply let it flow. The river knows where it's going. The stream is already pulling it toward its destination. Your trust in that flow is what allows the boat to reach where it needs to go. To feel first is to shift from the old state to the new one. You no longer identify with lack. You live from abundance. You no longer pray for healing. You walk as the healed. You no longer ask to be seen. You carry yourself as one who is already seen and valued. The world may not immediately confirm your inner state, but that is irrelevant. What matters is that you remain loyal to the feeling you've chosen, because it is now your new reality. This is why you must guard your emotional atmosphere. You must watch where your inner attention lingers. If you begin to imagine a new life but spend the rest of the day dwelling in doubt, worry, or fear, you are canceling the signal. You are sending two opposing messages to the subconscious, one of belief, one of disbelief. And in that contradiction, nothing can take root. But when you choose one feeling and hold it, protect it, and return to it again and again, You begin to live from it. And what you live from must eventually surround you. It takes practice. It takes discipline. It takes awareness. You must become so familiar with the feeling of your desired state that it becomes your default. It becomes your home. And then, without fanfare or effort, life begins to mirror it. Not because you chased it, but because you surrendered to it. Not because you forced it, but because you allowed it. You'll notice people begin to treat you differently. Opportunities that once seemed closed will open. Conversations will shift. Timing will align. Synchronicities will appear. And none of this will feel surprising, because it's what you already claimed in feeling. It's what you already knew was coming. The world is simply catching up to what you already believed within. And yet, you do not cling. You do not wait by the door. You do not measure time by how long it takes to show up. You go about your life with peace. You enjoy the moment. You live your days without tension. That ease is proof of faith. That stillness is a sign of alignment. It is in this calm, open-hearted posture that the desire finds its way to you, not with noise, not with strain, but with gentle certainty. This is the balance you must strike. Feel deeply, let go completely. Feel the joy as if it's already yours. Feel the love as if it's already surrounding you. Feel the success as if it's already expressed in everything you do. And then release the need for it to prove itself instantly. Let life breathe. Let it orchestrate the details. Your job is not to make it happen. It's to feel it real and then rest. Some will say, but how can I feel something I haven't experienced yet? And the answer is you already have, within. Every desire you hold is a glimpse of what is possible. You wouldn't even want it if it weren't already available to you in some form. Imagination gives you access. Feeling gives it life. Detachment gives it room to arrive. This is the art of creation. This is the rhythm of manifestation. Feel first, not last. Choose your state before the evidence appears. Be loyal to the unseen. And then step back. Let the current carry it to you in ways that will astonish you.